Living spaces. Living spaces.
There are a ton of ways to kick off your day. Gym grind, endless scroll, or snooze button life. But McDonald's has a deal that levels up your morning above the rest. Now at McDonald's, mix and match your choice of a fluffy sausage, egg, and cheese McGriddles and sizzly sausage McMuffin with egg for just $5. With a deal this fire, there's no better way to upgrade your mornings than with a delicious breakfast. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal. Single item at regular price.
ZZ Top, the Elevation Tour. November 3rd, Talking Stick Resort. Playing all their classic hits. ZZ Top. On sale now at TalkingStickResort.com.
Unbelievable savings at Superstar Car Wash. Lock in unlimited car washes for just $15 a month with our Clean Plan. Available at any of our 51 Arizona locations or online. Visit superstarcarwash.com for details. Terms and conditions apply.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe, Phoenix, and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale, Phoenix. It's the lunch break.
Middle of the week, Wednesday, the lunch break, KDUS AM 1060. Chris Schubert here with you for the next 2 hours. Thank you for joining us on your lunch break during our lunch break here. We turn the page to week 9 in the NFL season today. We start looking ahead for the Cardinals and their matchup against the Chicago Bears. So we have a lot of that to get to today here on the show. A jam-packed Cardinals edition. NFL trade deadline less than a week away. We are keeping our eye on the moves that the Cardinals may or may not make, but the league-wide moves that could be made here. We had one break during the show yesterday, so we'll keep our eye towards that. But we will start today's edition with the Daily Special and a different sport.
Time for our top story of the day. It's the Daily Special.
Well, there will be another baseball game tonight. The Yankees beating the Dodgers last night, 11-4, to force a Game 5 this evening back in the Bronx at Yankee Stadium. And there are a lot of takeaways from this baseball game. Maybe the biggest one has nothing to do with the two teams and has to do with the antics of two Yankees fans in particular last night. And I don't know how you have not seen this at this point, but if you haven't, and I'm the first person to tell you about this, buckle up, because last night during the game, two Yankees fans found themselves ejected from the game for the only way to describe it is they tried to steal Mookie Betts' glove. That's the only way to describe it. They reached over the outfield fence to rob Mookie Betts of his playing equipment. They tried to commit grand theft on national television. That is the only way to describe what these two goofballs, it's the nicest way I can describe them on radio, tried to do last night. They realized that there's cameras all over the place. They realized that there are cameras all across that stadium for security purposes, but also for television purposes. They realized that they were not going to get away with that. So they were ejected. They were escorted out of the building. And what I think is the most disgraceful part of all of this is that originally they were only banned for the remainder of Game 4, and there was a lot of talk of them being there tonight for Game 5, and that the Yankees were not going to suspend or ban these gentlemen from the stadium tonight. Now, cooler heads have prevailed here, and I think there was a nice nudge by Major League Baseball and the commissioner's office to the Yankees that said, hey, knock this off, okay? This is not happening. These guys are not coming back for Game 5. We're not having another incident on a nationally televised game during the World Series. These guys are not going to be at Game 5. And then a statement came out a little bit before we went on the air here today that these two gentlemen will not be in attendance tonight for Game 5. They have been banned. I don't think that's enough. I don't think they should ever step foot in Yankee Stadium ever again. I don't care that it was just a glove. You cannot do that to a player that is on the field. Just completely unacceptable. Just completely uncalled for. I don't care. You're defending the territory out there. I do not care. You cannot do that. You want to have banter between you and Mookie Betts? Fine. You want to name call? You want to go back and forth? No problem. When you start making contact with players, physical contact, I'm out. I'm out. And you should not be allowed to go to a baseball game ever again. It is a privilege to be able to go to these games, to be able to enjoy these games. A lot of Yankee fans probably wanted to be in the building last night, regardless that it was 3-0. And these two yahoos got into the building, and they were causing a scene. So I think that's the big takeaway. The Yankees win the baseball game. They force a Game 5 tonight, but everybody's talking about the incident with Mookie Betts, and it's just absurd, just ridiculous. And I'm glad that we got to the right place. It took too long, and the Yankees have a role in that. But we did get to the right place of those two gentlemen not being in the ballpark tonight. The Yankees did keep the series alive, and they did so in the bullpen game for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And I will say, yesterday on the show, we talked about how 24 times in World Series history that we've gotten to a 3-0 lead for one team. And 21 of those 24 times it ends in a sweep, that it just ends right away. There were 3 other occasions where it ended in 5 games, which would be tonight. I thought we were on pace for this to be another sweep, the 22nd sweep in World Series history, because they did the same script. The Dodgers opened up the game with a 2 spot. They opened up the game. The crowd going into the game last night, clearly on edge, clearly on eggshells, clearly nervous. Season's on the line, haven't won a game yet. Aaron Judge doesn't look the part, isn't thriving right now in the World Series, isn't stepping up in these big moments. Could be the last game of the season, could be the opportunity to watch the opposing team celebrate a championship on your turf. Everybody was on edge going into that game last night. And I think it very quickly got worse when you get a 2 spot in the first inning, which include another Freddie Freeman home run. 6 straight games in the postseason for Freddie Freeman with a home run, just an insane run that he's on while dealing with that ankle injury. And so you're watching this game last night and you're like, okay, it's 2-0. I know it's a bullpen game for the Dodgers, but they got out to the early lead. They can now deploy the bullpen however they want because they landed the first blow in this boxing match. And they'll be able to just control this game, use their best relievers however they want to keep the game where it is. And we're going to be talking tomorrow on the radio show about a championship and the baseball season being over and starting to look towards free agency for the Diamondbacks. It's how I felt watching the game when I saw it was 2-0 early. And then they get out of a jam in the first inning, which is what I thought was the final nail in the coffin for the Yankees. But credit to them, they responded and they got the game to a place where the Dodgers called off the dogs. They didn't use their best relievers. They just had one guy wear it for 4 innings. And they allowed Brett Honeywell to wear it late. And they're going to live to fight for tonight. And now the New York Yankees will throw their ace on the mound in Garrett Cole. The Dodgers will throw their number 1 starter, Jack Flaherty, on the mound. And we will find out tonight if the Yankees will be following the Dodgers back on their flight to LA, or if it will just be a celebratory flight for the Dodgers with a trophy on board. That's what it comes down to tonight. And I think for baseball's sake, they would like this to continue. They would like this to go back to LA. There's probably a small section of Dodger fans that wouldn't be upset about a loss tonight because then there's an opportunity to see them at home win it. Although I'm here to warn everybody, you don't necessarily root for that. You win a series when you can win a series. Don't try to get cute and open the door for the Yankees to make a comeback. And we'll see if this was a last gasp from the Yankees or if they can build some momentum off of scoring 11 runs against the Dodgers bullpen. But Aaron Judge has to come through in a big way for this team. I know he had an RBI hit last night, but it's not really going to change the narrative because he did that late in the game when it was already in hand. Hasn't had that big hit for them when the game's been in jeopardy. So he needs to come through or else it's going to be a long offseason talking about Aaron Judge and him no-showing in the World Series. We do get another baseball game tonight, so that personally is exciting to watch this game tonight, and we will see if the Yankees have a little bit more fight in them later on this evening to try to continue the series and send it back to LA. Honestly, it feels like if the Yankees were going to win one, that would be the one that they would win last night. Not going to get swept on their home field, Dodgers bullpen game, advantage Yankees. They take advantage of it. Tonight feels like, yes, you have Garrett Cole on the mound. So if you are going to start to dream up about the scenario of a comeback, you did part one. You won the first one, and you turned the ball over to your ace. In theory, you would think that your ace can get you to a game 6 and get this series back to LA. If you can't, then it just wasn't meant to be. The Dodgers are a better baseball team. So we'll see how that plays out tonight, but at least one more baseball game for us here this season. Coming up next, we've reached basically the mid-season point of the year. So how would we grade this Cardinal season so far? We'll do that next here on the lunch break. KDUS AM 1060.
Your caddy, Ray Adams, takes you beyond the 18th hole on Saturday mornings with Great American Golf from 6 to 7 a.m. on KDUS AM 1060.
You may not have any experience dealing with car wrecks, but Lerner & Rowe does. After your car wreck, you need an attorney to make sure your interests, like car repairs, medical bills, and lost wages, are protected. Finding the right attorney is actually easy. Just look for reputation, experience, and results. Lerner & Rowe has thousands of 5-star reviews, decades of experience, and we've recovered billions of dollars for our injured clients. Hurt in a wreck and need a check? Call Lerner & Rowe today.
Lerner & Rowe is the way to go. Call 977-1900.
Looking to sell your home? Hi, I'm Andrew the Home Buyer, and I love making it easy to sell your house. I'll personally come and give you a cash offer the same day we meet, and I'll beat any other offer. It really is that easy to sell your home, and no need to clean or fix anything. I'll buy it in as-is condition. Call me, Andrew the Home Buyer, today to get your same-day cash offer. Visit AndrewTheHomebuyer.com.
Hi, I'm Tom Horn, Arizona Superintendent of Schools. My job is to further improve Arizona's already excellent public schools. But if your school is not meeting your child's needs, you have choices.
We have 4 children that all have special needs and they need specialized instruction. Without ESA, we would not ever be able to afford something like this. I encourage every parent to look into the ESA program. It's been invaluable to our family.
Learn more about ESAs at azed.gov.
This holiday season, the Arizona Lottery is celebrating the little things with holiday scratchers like joy, happiness, giving, and a dash of fun. With the chance to win up to $500,000 and an all-expense-paid trip to Hawaii with the Hawaiian Holiday Giveaway. Give the gift of joy with Arizona Lottery's Holiday Scratchers. Visit ArizonaLottery.com to find a retailer near you.
Have you downloaded the KDUS AM 1060 skill for Alexa yet?
Food. Alexa is frustrated. No matter how many times do you ask, the answer is mail, chicken.
Once you're ready, say Alexa, open KDUS AM 1060 to listen to your favorite shows.
Welcome back to the lunch break. KDUS AM 1060. Chris Schubert here with you. Got you covered up until 1 o'clock. Lot of Cardinals discussion here on the program today because we can turn the page. Week 9 starts tomorrow with Thursday Night Football. We put Week 8 in the rearview mirror yesterday with the post-Week 8 NFL Power Rankings, my top 10 teams in the NFL after Week 8. And if you missed anything from yesterday's show or the show in general, make sure you subscribe and follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Both hours of the program every day are podcasted over there, so you can catch up on all of the stuff that you missed. You can catch up on the Schubert 6, although maybe last week's you don't want to pay attention to. You can catch up with the NFL Rewind, the post-Week 8 NFL Power Rankings. Whatever you missed from the first 2 days of the week, you can catch up in the podcast feed. So make sure wherever you get your podcast, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, it is all there for you to be able to catch up. And in a 17-game season, finding the midway point is a little difficult, right? There's no even number that we can break this down to, but we're around the midway point of the season, right? We are 8 games in. The Cardinals have 9 games left on the calendar. I feel comfortable enough to say we're basically at the midway point of the year. So with the first half of the season done for the Cardinals and the second half in front of them, how would we grade what the Cardinals have done so far? We've been very positive of what they've done the last 2 weeks. We've been very positive about the outlook of this team moving forward. We've been very aggressive in what we think this team can do between now and next Tuesday's trade deadline. So there's been a very positive vibe here on the show when it comes to the Cardinals and their first half so far. And how would we grade it? How would we look at it in a complete picture? Well, ESPN put out a story yesterday or this morning doing this exact process, talking about where every team is at the midway point. And they had the Cardinals as their 20th ranked team. So at 4-4, still their 20th ranked team. And just doing a quick search, they have a couple of teams in front of them with losing records. In fact, a bunch of teams in front of them with losing records via their FPI ranking, so their football power index. They have the Cardinals at 20 with a 37.1% chance to make the playoffs and a 32.2% chance to win the division. Now, I think it's important to note that when we start this conversation, the Rams were in front of them, so a division rival who they're in front of already in the standings, in front of them. We will see that the San Francisco 49ers are in front of them. So 2 divisional foes in front of them, and that's it. So the Seahawks behind them, but the Cardinals third amongst the AFC or the NFC West teams. And they break it down and they say what we know about the team, what we don't know about the team, the stat that defined the first half, and the biggest injury concern. And I would recommend that you check out the entire story to go through all of this. But what I found so interesting was how they described the what we don't know yet portion for the Cardinals. And so I'll read from it and then we can discuss it. Quote, "We have no idea how the season is going to pan out. Arizona has the talent on both sides of the ball to go on a run and leave the NFC West in its dust, especially with the next stretch of winnable games on tap. But the Cardinals have shown they win when least expected and lose when they're least expected." And I think that last sentence brings us to where we feel, at least how I feel about this Cardinals team through the midway point of the year, is that it has been inconsistent. It would probably be a middle of the road grade if we used the A through F scale, right? I think results wise, seeing that the team is in first place, you would say A plus, right? I mean, how could you be upset about a team that's in first place? And we have said that on this show that we're not giving it back. You're not giving back that the team is in first place. I don't care that it's because they're 4-4. They're in first place. They have done enough to be in first place. That should be rewarded. But when looking at the future, when looking at what's going to happen in the second half, you have to take the context of this 4-4 start and say, is this sustainable the rest of the way? Is this team in a position to get better? It's why we've harped so much about what this team has done the last 2 weeks and why I think it is different than what they've done the first 6 weeks of the year. And these last 2 weeks have shown me that this team is turning a corner. And so, yes, it has been a roller coaster ride through the first 8 weeks. But things smoothed out over the last 2. Things have been pretty consistent over the last 2. The penalties have gone away. The offense has looked better. The defense has stepped up when it has mattered most. They have survived injuries. They're getting guys back. Darius Robinson activated from IR. The practice window for Jonah Williams opened up today for the Cardinals. So you're talking about getting one of your first-round rookies who is a very nice reinforcement to your defense back. You're also talking about getting back one of your main free agent acquisitions from this past offseason to help shore up your offensive line so that group can get even better when Jonah is able to come back. So they've opened that window. So it looks like they're starting to potentially turn the corner with their injury luck, which has not been good through the first 8 weeks of the year. So it's not a surprise that they're 4-4 because the injury bug hasn't been super kind to them throughout the first 8 weeks of the season. But the last 2 weeks give me confidence that this team has turned a corner. That this team is starting to resemble what their ceiling could be. And that is why I can say that I believe they should get high remarks if we were grading the first half of this year. Because this is a what have you done for me lately sport. It is a what have you done for me lately league. And lately, the Arizona Cardinals have been a first-place caliber team with the way that they've played over the last 2 weeks. It doesn't feel like what they've done the last 2 weeks is unsustainable. It doesn't feel like what they've done the last 2 weeks is not repeatable. It doesn't feel like they had a bunch of breaks go their way to be 4-4 and in first place. Now, yes, they've gotten breaks in the sense of San Francisco not playing well, Seattle not playing well, LA not playing well. But let's look at what the Cardinals have done. They've been blown out. They dropped the game the first week of the season that they were in control of in the first half. I mean, the football luck hasn't really bounced their way a ton. They haven't been on the receiving end of a bunch of great calls that have led to them winning. They haven't been fortunate to face teams and get the injury luck to go their way. I mean, they've been hit time and time again with injuries this season. So the football luck has not been on their side. Yet despite all that, they've gotten through that. And here they sit at the midway point of the season at 4-4 in first place with, like the story mentions, a stretch of winnable games on tap. Let's look at the schedule again because I think it's important. Bears, Jets, the next 2 games for the Cardinals, the next 2 weeks. And they have a bye, and then they play at Seattle. So unfortunate to catch Seattle when you're catching them, right? In the context of you're going to play them twice in a 3-week span. But I look at that and say you're catching your road matchup with Seattle coming off of your bye week. So if you win the next 2 games against the Bears and the Jets, and you're sitting at 6-4 going into your bye week. Now, part of you is going to be like, man, I don't want the bye week to kill the momentum that we have here, right? Because then it would be a 4-game winning streak. It would be 5 of 6. You'd be feeling really good. You'd be like, no, I forego the bye. I'd like to play the Seattle Seahawks this week. But you would have a bye week, and then you would be able to get prepared. I have a saying, and I have said this in all of the different media forms that I've done, podcasting, radio, video content. I just have a belief that you see coaches after a loss, they talk about a team being unprepared and saying that falls on the coaches. We didn't have the guys prepared. I believe there are 2 games during a season in which if you use that as an excuse, I'm out on you as a coach. And the 2 weeks where I believe that excuse needs to be off the table are your first game of the season where you have the most time to prepare, right? You can't be unprepared when you have all offseason to prepare for the first week of the season. And the second game where you can be the most prepared is when you are after your bye week because you have 2 weeks to prepare for an opponent. You want to tell me you're unprepared because you're playing on a short week, going on the road traveling? I can buy that. I can sign up for that. I can accept that as a legitimate excuse for why you lost a football game. But I can't excuse you saying, "Oh, we were just unprepared when we went to Seattle." You're coming off your bye week. You're telling me you're not prepared? You're telling me that you didn't have enough time to go through the film to come up with a game plan? So you are going to be the most prepared or the second most prepared that you are going to be for a game all year when you go on the road to Seattle. That might be the difference in the division. Because if you win that game, you're going to start the division 3-0. Of the 6 games you're going to play in the division, you're going to bank 3 of them before the second half of the year truly kicks off for you, where you're going to play in the final 5 weeks of the season, you're going to play 3 divisional opponents. And so the reason why I give such high grades to the Cardinals is because the schedule is advantageous to them. Their play as of late is incredibly encouraging. They're getting healthy as a group. And let's be fair, this team is not going to go on a run where we're looking up at the end of the year and there's double-digit wins in the bag. It's going to be a roller coaster. They have some tough matchups on this schedule, specifically the last 2 weeks of the year against the Rams and the 49ers. But if you're telling me that the Cardinals can show up the way they've showed up the last 2 weeks, they have the Patriots and Panthers on their schedule. They have the Jets on their schedule next week. They could have full control of things. And maybe with the Panthers and the Patriots on their schedule, if they go into their bye week at 6-4, we might be able to start talking about double-digit wins for this team. And so I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. And so what I appreciate most about this first half for the Cardinals is they've put themselves in a position to do great things in the second half. Now they have to answer the bell. But so if we're grading this is, you look at a 4-4 record and you say, okay, middle of the road, C++. But when you look at the teams they played in the first half, when you look at the position that they've set themselves up in for the second half, and when you consider all of the things that have gone against them so far to even be at 4-4 and in first place, this is an AA+ job for this team so far. It is up to them to answer the bell in the second half and to give themselves a chance to be a playoff team. Now, speaking of that, they're going to play the Chicago Bears this Sunday. We take our first look at the Chicago Bears team next on the lunch break. KDUS AM 1060.
We'll do what's best for the team, and we'll do what's best for you.
The Rich Eisen Show coming to you weekdays from 3 to 5 p.m. here on KDUS AM 1060 and KDUS1060.com.
Breaking news, and this one is almost unbelievable.
Yeah, it's all about new customers at Bet365 because they get $200 in bonus bets when they bet $5. And even better, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, and player props.
There you have it. Bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bet and see why. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Arizona. Terms and conditions apply.
There are many signs that you may be in financial trouble. Late mortgage payments, paying bills from your retirement account, or paying one credit card with another. If you're experiencing financial hardship, bankruptcy may be right for you. The credit industry wants you to believe that bankruptcy is bad and will destroy your credit forever, but that's just not true. At Lerner Rowe Law Group, we'll take the time to carefully examine your situation and develop a plan that is right for you. Call Lerner Rowe Law Group today for a free consultation.
Lerner & Rowe is the way to go. Call 977-1900.
Sean Forster, Managing Attorney.
Labrie, Mayock, Petrucci, Portnoy, Rudis. Dream Theater, 40th Anniversary Tour. February 18th at Arizona Financial Theater. Dream Theater. Tickets on sale now at LiveNation.com. Don't miss Dream Theater, 40th Anniversary Tour.
Every day, community, supporting, giving. Every day at APS, we support Arizona community organizations and our customers, giving back to help Arizona teachers, nonprofits, and families, volunteering to support and strengthen neighborhoods, working with local partners to provide customers with crisis assistance and other services when they need it most. To help your community or find assistance for yourself or someone you know, visit aps.com/brighter. This ad is funded by Pinnacle West shareholders.
If you're a skilled trade person with a journeyman card from a registered apprenticeship, we've got an exciting opportunity just for you from Gateway Community College. Introducing the Journeyman to Associate's degree program at Gateway, where your expertise earns you more than just a paycheck. Our credit for prior learning program allows you to turn your industry credentials into college credit, putting you on the fast track to earning an associate degree without starting from square one. To see if you qualify, visit gatewaycc.edu/journeyman. That's gatewaycc.edu/journeyman to get started. Gateway, a Maricopa Community College.
Post Malone is teaming up with Raising Cane's to empower the next generation of artists. For a limited time, 2 exclusive double-sided Post Malone posters are available at Raising Cane's. So post up your combo at Cane's while supplies last and support a good cause. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers. One love.
Don't let erectile dysfunction impact your performance. It's a common medical condition, and there's no shame in seeking help. Arizona Urology Specialist. Personal care for life's most personal issues. Visit ArizonaURO.com or call 602-887-2160. James Out West brings NFL, NBA, MLB, and local sports talk to you Monday night starting at 7 on KDUS AM 1060 and the KDUS 1060 app.
Welcome back to the show. The lunch break, KDUS AM 1060. Chris Schubert here with you. If you want to join the conversation, 480-864-1060, the new phone number. I've been telling everybody all week, new phone number here to join the show, 480-864-1060. Now, I promised that we would preview the Bears, but I need to take us on a bit of a detour because I just had a conversation in the hall that I think is very important, and I think we can get to the bottom of a decision that I have to make. Now, I'll just be honest with everybody. The decision's already been made. I've already decided what I'm going to do, but maybe I could be convinced. So I was just in the hall because during the break, I walk into my office and I just check on some stuff. And so over in the corner where my office is where the Alt AZ studios are. And so I was walking out of my office and Mo was walking down the hall. And we were chit-chatting and she asked me if I was going to be dressing up because tomorrow in the building is our Halloween party because tomorrow is Halloween. And so we're having a party tomorrow. Now, I think it's important to let everybody know ahead of time that we're having this conversation. The party is while we're on the air tomorrow. So there's going to be festivities going on, and I'm not going to be able to participate. because we are going to be doing the show. It's going to be the Thursday edition of the show. A lot of great stuff to unpack. Baseball season might be over. Like, we'll have a good show tomorrow. So she asked me if I was dressing up, and I said no, because I'm not going to be at the party. It's going to look weird for the YouTube audience that are watching us on YouTube to just see me dressed up. I know it's Halloween and I could get away with it, but it just wouldn't make any sense. And I'm not, to be honest, just to let in everybody on a little secret, not the biggest Halloween fan when it comes to the dressing up and wearing a costume. I feel like at a certain age, you age out of that. I feel like I turned 30 this year. I have phased out. Now, if my daughter wanted to do something where as a family we were all dressing up, I would be in. I would be invested. But for me personally, like, I'm not just going to, out of my way for tomorrow's party, be a pirate. You know, I don't feel the need to do that. I don't feel the need to dress up as anything. I'll be a radio host tomorrow. That'll be my costume. I'll dress up as a radio host. That's what I'll do. So Halloween party tomorrow while we're on the air, not participating. This is the weird part. I'm going to be the weird one tomorrow because everybody else in the building is going to be dressed up and I won't be. And so I will be the weird one while they'll be weird in their costumes. It's a whole big thing. Well, you know what we'll do? We'll keep everybody updated on it tomorrow, how it all goes down on the show. The Chicago Bears, the next team up for the Arizona Cardinals to face. And we do it Wednesday every single week when the Cardinals' next opponent is coming up. We turn the page and we start looking at the next matchup for this team. And we just give you the numbers. We tell you what the strengths and weaknesses are for this team. And we just put it on the table for you to just understand the team that you are going to see play the Cardinals on Sunday. Maybe you're not watching a lot of Bears football. You know that they have Caleb Williams. You know that you look at their record, you see where they stand in the NFC playoff picture and in that hotly contested NFC North, but maybe you're not watching them on a regular basis. You don't know what their strengths and their weaknesses are. And so this is our opportunity to give you that information. We do the work, we do the research, and we present it to you here on the show. And in doing the deep dive, it's really clear to me where this game is going to come down to for the Arizona Cardinals. We just waxed poetic in the previous segment on the job we think the Cardinals have done in the first half. That we're impressed that we're at this point, talking about a first-place team with a schedule that's favorable to them. They're, I believe, still a favorite in the game on Sunday. It was a 1-point spread when I last checked yesterday, and we did tell you to keep an eye on this spread to see how it evolved over the course of the week, to see where the money was flowing to. And I'm checking now to see if it has changed, if it has gone up from the 1-point margin that it was last week. Because if it grows, then you're going to start, then that will tell you how people feel. It's still -1 according to ESPN Bet. So you're not seeing a lot of movement right now, but the Cardinals still a small favorite at home. If we are to believe, like we do, or at least like the show does, that the Cardinals are turning a corner, that the Cardinals the last 2 weeks have broken out in some ways, and that there is a path that they are moving down to where they might be more consistent as an offense. They might be able to do enough defensively despite being undermanned to give themselves a chance to win football games, right? I think what we want from this football team is you give this offense a chance in the fourth quarter to win the football game. That's what you want. This offense with these skill players, give Kyler Murray a chance in the fourth quarter with the ball to try to win a football game. That's what you are asking of your defense. However the game script plays out, give the offense a chance in the fourth quarter to try to win the football game. And so I think they're on that path. I think that is what they can do more weeks than not. If that's to be true, and if we are to take what they've done the last 2 weeks seriously as them breaking out, if we are to take it seriously as it not being a flash in the pan, and that they're not going to immediately revert back to losing 2 and then, or winning 2 and then losing 2, and then there's being a mediocre team the rest of the year. If they're going to break through this and really take control of the NFC West, I think this is the game where you kind of show us something. Because I'm going to read you the metrics for this Chicago defense, and this is going to be a test. Chicago defense, 4th best in opponent points per game. 11th best in opponent yards per game. 6th best in opponent third down conversion. This is the best defense in red zone scoring percentage, meaning they let you get down into the 20s, but when you get there, you're settling for field goals. You're not scoring touchdowns. That's where you win and lose football games in the National Football League. You have to convert when you get down into the red zone. This team is 4th best in opponent touchdowns per game. This defense, it's not the 85 Bears, but it's a really good defense. It is a defense that statistically has made it difficult. And where they've made it the most difficult is passing. 4th best in opponent completion percentage on defense, 12th in yards per pass, 19th in pass play percentage, 8th in opponents' interception throws, meaning they're getting the ball via the turnover. Yeah, they're 6th in takeaways per game, 8th in sack percentage. This defense is good. This defense is going to be a challenge for Drew Petzing and Kyler Murray and company on offense. Now you look at the Bears offense and you think Caleb Williams, you think Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, DeAndre Swift. You just think of all of the skill players that they have, Cole Kmet, just everybody that they've got. 16th in points per game, 27th in yards per game, 27th on third down, so not that great on third down. But where they thrive, because they don't score a lot of points, they're middle of the road, 16th in points per game. So this is not going to be a track meet. It's not the way the Bears have played so far this year, still trying to find it all offensively. But what they do better than everybody but one team is when they get down to the red zone, they convert 68.4% red zone scoring. Meaning if they get into the red zone, nearly 70% of the time, 7 out of 10 attempts, they are going to punch it in for a touchdown. And so when I look at this game, the early takeaway that I have is if the Cardinals win the red zone battle, if they make the Bears kick more field goals in the red zone than they normally do, and if the Cardinals are scoring more touchdowns and they're kicking red zones when they get down there, then the Cardinals are going to be riding a 3-game winning streak. That is the stat that is just staring out to me. The Bears first on defense in red zone scoring and second on offense in red zone scoring. They are elite at both ends of this. It's why they have found ways to win. They stop you when you get down to the red zone. They make you settle for 3. They force you to leave points on the table, leave points on the board. But what they don't do is they don't leave points on the board. They get their money's worth. They get every single point that they can get once they get down into the red zone. So that's where this game is going to be won or lost. Is who can buck the trend when it comes to the red zone. Can this Cardinals offense score more than the Bears normally let up? And can they stop the Bears when they get down to the red zone more often than the Bears have been stopped? Because this defense is going to make it, this is what makes this defense so tough, is they're good overall. So they make it difficult for you to get down into the red zone. And then when they get there, it is a bend but don't break approach. And they make it impossible for you. And that's what having a defensive-minded head coach kind of provides, right? Is they're going to be stout down there. They're young. They're athletic. They make plays. And I still think this is a winnable game for the Cardinals. Don't take this conversation as me saying the Cardinals are not going to win. But when you break these teams down and you look at the statistics, you have to pick the one thing, right? And for the Chargers game, and we got this wrong. We've been wrong in the past on this. But when we talked about the Chargers game, we looked at, man, they run the ball really well, and they stop the run really well, and that's a bad recipe for the Cardinals. It is, to this date, our top viewed short clip from the show of me talking about how the Cardinals match up terribly against the Chargers. I would like something to take over its spot so that that's not the first thing that people see when they look at the short form content that we have out there. I would prefer maybe something that we talk about this week, a positive thing that I say, not me looking like an idiot. But we've been wrong in the past on this. But for me, the statistic that I'm going to take away from this first look is the Cardinals have to win in the red zone on both ends of the field. Their defense is undermanned. Their defense needs reinforcements. We've talked about it. They need to get healthy. They need to get people in the building. But they need to have a bend but don't break approach. What happens in between the 20s, okay. But when they get down into the red zone, this Cardinals defense needs to show up. This Cardinals defense needs to come through. This Cardinals defense needs to leave points on the board for the Bears because the Bears have thrived there. It's what's allowed the Bears to be successful. And it's this Cardinals defense, 12th in opponent red zone scoring. So it's not like they're terrible. They're middle of the road, but they need to be better. They need to play above their stats so far if they want to win this football game. That's our first look at the Chicago Bears, what they've done well. And listen, we can talk about red zone, but at the end of the day, you've got Caleb Williams, first overall pick, an exciting offense that has talent. So it's not going to be easy to beat this team. But if you want to point to one thing that the Cardinals need to do well, win the red zone. Not the red zone with Scott Hansen on television. Win the red zone on the field. Stop. And I don't want to say stop. Hold the Bears to a lot of field goals. Force them to kick a lot of field goals. And when you get down to the red zone, you need to cash in. You need to be hitting on 60% or more when you get down there. If you do that, I think we're talking about another Cardinals victory on Monday. Coming up next, a off-the-fence NFL trade deadline edition. It's the lunch break, KDUS AM 1060.
Carving out time in your afternoon for the Doug Gottlieb Show right here on KDUS AM 1060, 100.7 HD2, and KDUS1060.com. Weekdays from 1 to 3 p.m.
License number 146316.
That's right. As long as it's inspected once a year, if your fire door fails to work as intended, we are responsible. No problem at all. We'll be right out. Jeannie, I want to make a wish.
Hey, Tasha, what do you need?
I wish that... Wait, still blue?
Yes, but still can't do magic since the stupid Genie Eye Council took it away for not having my lamp inspected.
Aw, Jeannie.
Can't get an inspector till next month.
Next month?
How come ASAP is so fast?
Because with our annual safety and adjustment programs, our customers have scheduled inspections every year. No rush needed.
Shucks, you guys are so good at that.
And if any door doesn't work the way it's intended, we are responsible for it.
ASAP, commercialdoors.com.
Tasha.
Yes, Jeannie. What do you need?
ASAP should get certified to inspect magical lamps.
The only thing worse than hiring no law firm after your injury is hiring the wrong law firm. And there are so many of them. When thousands of people call us every year asking to help them change law firms and hire us instead, I wonder why they ever called the other firm in the first place. They were smart to switch before it was too late. You only get one day in court. You know who has the resources and results to fight to handle your claim. And the big insurance company on the other side, they know it too. They know us well. You have to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, and know when to walk away. Walk our way. When you're fighting to get what you deserve, it's go big or go home. We are big for a reason, which is why we've recovered over $9 billion for our clients. When it comes to law, size matters. We're America's largest injury law firm, Morgan & Morgan. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Listener rewards for you with the KDUS 1060 app. Download today to hear all of the national and local shows you love. That's the KDUS 1060 app.
Welcome back to the lunch break. KDUS AM 1060. Chris Schubert here with you. A lot of ways for you to join the show. We've talked about the new phone number, 480-864-1060. That's how you can call and interact with the program. You can also join us on YouTube, and we have a comment that I thought was very important that was mentioned during our last segment. So shout out to what is a fantastic username on YouTube, The Shovel, who says, the Bears have a very good secondary. I think this game comes down to the last drive. And this Bears defense is very good, and I think they're going to be as advertised on Sunday. And if this game comes down to the last drive, then you can't – I don't think you could be upset as a Cardinals fan. I think if this game comes down to the last drive, you've done your job on both sides of the ball to put the game into that spot. So that's another way for you to interact with the show. So you can join us live on YouTube, throw your comments in there. If and when I see them, we'll read them out as long as they're family appropriate. You can call the show, 480-864-1060. You can tweet at me at Chris Schubert _. So a lot of different ways for you to join the program, get your thoughts onto the show, because this is the lunch break. You're on your lunch break. We're on our lunch break. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk about all of these things that are going on here in the Valley. It is a NFL trade edition. Will they get moved ahead of Tuesday's deadline? of Off the Fence.
Nobody likes a fence sitter.
The question is what choice?
So, Chris, can you pick a side?
Well, you don't really have a choice.
And get off the fence.
Excellent choice.
That's what we're going to do. We are going to get off the fence. We have 10 names. Normally, I keep this to a small number, but I've got 10 names that we are going to discuss here. And I'm going to tell you, one way or another, will that player get moved ahead of Tuesday's? And I've made this joke once already, but I'll continue to make it. Next Tuesday, the most important thing going on, the NFL trade deadline. Nothing else important is happening next Tuesday, November 5th. Nothing else important is happening, just the NFL trade deadline. 4 p.m. Eastern time next Tuesday is when the NFL trade deadline is. So I've got 10 names here, and I will tell you traded or not traded ahead of Tuesday's deadline, and we'll see how well I do. I will tell you most of these players are not going to be traded in my mind, but a couple of interesting ones. And we'll start with the first 2 names on this list because I think they're the easiest. The first 3, I think they're the easiest for us to do. We've got Myles Garrett at number 1, and I think while it would make sense from the Browns' perspective to get some draft capital back, I'm still not entirely sold that they want to do that to their fan base, because that sends a signal that they don't think there's anything left for 2024 for them as a team. And I don't know if they're willing to give up just yet when it comes to moving a player to the caliber of Myles Garrett. So I'm going to say not traded for Myles Garrett. Max Crosby is the second name on our list. Again, I think the same thing applies that we just said about Myles Garrett and the Browns. The Raiders have made it abundantly clear that they are not interested in trading Max Crosby, whether or not you agree that that's a good thing or the right thing, because that team's not going anywhere. They don't have a quarterback. I don't know if they have a coach. I don't know if they have a GM. Tom Telesco's in his first year there. I don't know anything about that organization. And so I worry that they're going to get to a place where by the time they're competitive again, that Max Crosby is past his prime and they're going to waste his good years. And by waste, I mean not turning him into victories and success as a team. They'll sell jerseys. They'll sell tickets because people want to see Max Crosby. There's some value there. But they will waste his prime, I think, with the way that they are currently situated. So I would trade him. Do I think he gets traded ahead of Tuesday's deadline? No. I think if we have a Max Crosby conversation, it's in the offseason. It's in the summertime. Number 3, Jeffrey Simmons. We mentioned him yesterday on the show as the potential pie in the sky, outside the box possibility for the Cardinals, the 27-year-old defensive tackle from the Tennessee Titans. Titans team not going anywhere. He would fetch a huge haul for the Cardinals. He would be a player that would help you, not necessarily on the outside as a pass rusher, but I think he would open things up with what he would be able to do on the interior. Do I think he gets moved between now and next Tuesday's deadline? No, I do not. Again, I think he and Max Crosby are summer offseason conversations. We'll get to our first player that I think does get traded, and that's Zadarius Smith. I think the Browns will move one of their 2 pass rushers, and I just said that they weren't going to move Myles Garrett, so Zadarius Smith is going to be the guy that I think gets moved. He is on the other side of 30. He is a veteran player, and I think you will see a win-now team try to acquire Zadarius Smith. I think you will see a team that is trying to maybe push their chips into the middle or is trying to create a spark like the Cardinals, add some juice, add some sizzle to the team, inject some energy into the team by making a move, supporting what the team has done so far, right? That's kind of the parameters we've put around the Cardinals winning or making a move at the trade deadline. But there will be other teams that fit into that category of winning and having success now and trying to add to make their team better for a potential playoff run. But I do think Zadarius Smith gets moved. Darius Slayton, wide receiver out of the Giants, the next name for us to discuss here on a NFL trade deadline edition of Off the Fence. And I think Darius Slayton is a guy that gets moved. There's a lot of talk about him being moved ahead of Tuesday's trade deadline. The Giants aren't going anywhere. Lost again on Monday night to the Giants. They played well enough to have a chance to win the football game, but I just think more often than not, that's how games are going to go for the Giants. They're going to be good enough to keep it close. They're going to be good enough to keep it competitive, but they're not going to be good enough to win football games. They're going to be overmatched in the second half and in the fourth quarter of games. They're going to keep them close. They're going to keep them competitive. They can do enough, but I don't think they're going to win a lot. And so the best thing that they can do is acquire assets for the future. If Shane and Dable are going to be back there next year as the GM head coach tandem, them acquiring assets. And we've seen already there is a massive movement in the wide receiver market. Amari Cooper on the move to Buffalo. Devontae Adams on the move to the Jets. You had Deontay Johnson get moved yesterday to the Ravens. There are moves that are happening at that position in particular. And so with that position being one that is already active and teams definitely need help in that regard, I think Darius Slayton gets moved. Let's talk about another wide receiver. I just mentioned him, but could Devontae Adams get traded again? And no, the answer to this is no. I get it. I understand why people bring it up that the Jets trade for Devontae Adams. It has been a dumpster fire since he's gotten there. Not his fault, but they have not won a game since firing their head coach. They have not won a game since bringing in Devontae Adams. Could they just turn around and flip him and try to get the pick back that they gave up for him and just try to wash their hands of this and call a mulligan, call a redo on the whole thing? I just don't think that's going to be the case. The way they've structured his contract makes me think that he's going to be here. He's owed $38 million in 2025, $38 million in 2026 because they structured his contract. This is not going to be a situation where they're going to move on now. They might move on in the summer, but I don't think they're going to move on now from him. I don't think they're going to immediately call a redo. I don't think they're going to want to make Aaron Rodgers that angry at this point of the season. This is a name that I've seen floated around, and we have not discussed it yet here on the show as we're doing a NFL trade edition. Will these players get traded ahead of the trade deadline on Tuesday at 4 p.m., the most important thing that's happening next Tuesday? I've seen this name thrown around quite a bit. I've seen this name discussed as an option. But there are two things that are working against this player being moved. One, you don't see players of this caliber at this position get moved in the middle of the season. I can't remember the last trade involving this position that would involve this caliber of a player getting moved. I can't think of one notable off the top of my head. There probably is that I'm just not thinking of it. But a lot of these moves, almost all of these moves, happen in the offseason. In fact, this player, this person, got traded in the offseason as a big quarterback trade. The other reason why I don't think this is going to happen is because I don't think this team has given up on the year just yet. Just won on Thursday night last week. With this quarterback, if he plays well, they'll have a chance. They're getting healthier on offense. And so Matt Stafford is the seventh name for us to discuss here on the list, because I've seen a lot of talk of him potentially being traded ahead of this deadline on Tuesday. A quarterback trade is really hard to pull off in the middle of the year. Now, there are plenty of teams that I think would be interested, like Cleveland would be interested, right? That would be an upgrade from Jameis Winston, who did win them a game, but that would be an upgrade. But other than that, like Pittsburgh feels very comfortable with what they're doing at the quarterback situation. They don't feel like they're a team that's going to want to do that. Is there another team that immediately jumps off the page that's had an injury? The Saints feel kind of destined to ride this thing out. So there's not a lot of suitors that make sense. There's not a lot of matchups that you can pair together of, okay, the Rams and this team match up for Matt Stafford to go here and the Rams could get, it just doesn't work. So no, Matt Stafford is a no. So far we've had two yeses, Darius Smith and Darius Slayton. Everybody else has been a no. Cam Robinson from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, we have to pick a side here, right? So we cannot sit on the fence and say, oh, I don't know, he could be. I'm going to lean no. I'm going to say no, he is not traded ahead of the 2024 NFL trade deadline. Now, what I will say is I would do this if I was the Jacksonville Jaguars. You're not going anywhere this year. If you want to turn this around quickly with Trevor Lawrence, if you're going to stick with Doug Peterson and give him another chance at this front office needs assets to be able to turn things around. This front office needs draft capital to utilize either by making the picks and getting younger as a team and filling holes, or by flipping those assets to get other players. And you have Cam Robinson, who doesn't have a long-term contract there, thinks only under contract through the end of this year or maybe through the end of next year. It's a short-term thing. He's an older player. I think he's 28, about to turn 29. And there could be a team that could use some offensive line help that would want to bring him in. So would I do this? Yes. Do I think they do this? No, because they're Jacksonville and they don't do anything correctly. I think they should try to trade Travis Etienne. They have Tank Bigsby. They used a draft pick on him. Etienne would fetch some draft capital. Again, you have to make some tough decisions when you're a franchise like Jacksonville, when you're supposed to be good and you're not good and you think you can be good in the future. You have to do things quickly. You have to be aggressive. You have to understand the moment that you find yourself in. And I think there are players on that roster that they can replace for 2025, but get some draft capital that will help them for 2025. So would I do it? Yes. Do I think it happens? No. I put a Cardinal on here. I put Budda Baker on here just to make it very clear, just so that I can use the final 2 or 3 minutes that we have here in this segment. And I've got one more name to discuss. To say, no, the Cardinals will not be trading anybody ahead of the 2024 NFL trade deadline next week. I think we've made our position very clear on this show, how we think the trade deadline should go for the Cardinals. And we said that after the Chargers game, and they were 3-4, because we told everybody first place is on the line this week. You can beat the Dolphins. You could be in first place. You can't wave the white flag on a season 7 games in when you're 1 game out of first place. You don't get these types of opportunities. So we're not now, after they did all the things we said that they could do, like beating the Dolphins, being on a 2-game winning streak, being in first place, having an advantageous schedule over the next couple of weeks. We're not changing our position. So no, Budda Baker is not getting traded ahead of the trade deadline. The last name for us to discuss as we close up a Wednesday edition of Off the Fence NFL trade deadline, will these players get moved? We've had 2 players, Zadarius Smith and Darius Slayton. Cooper Kupp is the last name on this list. And I think Cooper Kupp ultimately falls into the same camp as Cam Robinson. Would I do this if I was the Rams? I think I would. Here's an older player. I've got Puka Nacua. I could get some draft capital back. Tampa's probably blowing up my phone trying to acquire a wide receiver. The wide receiver market as a whole is very active right now. So I'm sure the phone lines are jammed to try to get Cooper Kupp. So would I do this? Yes. But I think the Rams are going to believe that they just won a game last week against the Vikings, a good football team. They are not out of the division. They're getting healthy, and they're going to want to see this through. Everything we said about the Cardinals right now currently applies to the Rams. And so I don't think they're a team. We know how their organization feels about draft picks. They don't want them anyway. Their GM does not like draft picks. So I don't think they care to move Cooper Kupp, even though I think they should, because they should want draft picks. They should want to try to rebuild on the fly here. So of the 10 names that we mentioned, 2 of them, 20% of the list, are players that I think are going to get traded. Those are some of the bigger names that are out there that are being rumored. And I think only 2 of them get moved ahead of the deadline. Do I think there's activity? Yeah, I think there's a lot of names that get moved ahead of Tuesday's trade deadline. Hour number 2 of the program coming up next. It's the lunch break. KDUS AM 1060.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. For over 35 years, we've grown by offering our clients more offices, more lawyers, and recovering more than $20 billion. Injured? The choice is easy. Morgan & Morgan. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
We're sitting down with our members age 60 plus from around the country to find out how Archwell Health is helping them live life to its fullest.
I feel like I can go forward because now I'm in good health.
I have a doctor who really cares and is truly interested in helping me live my best life.
What was my first impression when I walked in? I could sum that up in a 3-letter word. Wow.
Are you ready for a different kind of primary care in Phoenix? Visit archwellhealth.com to become a member today during Medicare annual enrollment and start living your best life better.
At Shane Company, we'll help you create a ring as unique as your love story. We have the biggest selection of diamonds in all shapes and sizes, and center stones in an array of colors, including sapphires in blue, pink, green, lavender, and more. Just the other day, a couple picked out a blue sapphire that perfectly matched her eyes, and they left knowing her ring was truly one of a kind. That's what happens at Shane Company. Come check us out. You might just fall in love with something unexpected. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Real stories with Hellsberg.
I had the ring already. She had made it very clear what kind of ring she wanted.
Yep.
I pretended that I was going to kneel and picked up a pine cone instead of pulling out a ring.
What a jerk. But when I saw that ring, I was like, oh, he did good.
I really love Amy. I really, really genuinely love Amy.
I love you too.
At Hellsberg, find the engagement ring worthy of your story. Designed with the love, care, and craft it deserves. Visit a Hellsberg store or hellsberg.com.
Take advantage of thousands of dollars in SRP rebates and discounts on energy-efficient home upgrades like new air conditioning units, windows, ducts, and insulation. Save money on your energy bill while also making your home more comfortable. SRP's network of participating contractors can guide you from start to finish and maximize your savings by combining Inflation Reduction Act incentives with SRP rebates. Learn more at savewithsrp.com.
Interstate Batteries, outrageously dependable. Life is full of questions. Is the presentation ready for work tomorrow? Why is there so much traffic at 3 p.m. on a Tuesday? Are your in-laws visiting this weekend or next? You've got plenty of things to worry about. Whether your car will start shouldn't be one of them. With an outrageously dependable battery under your hood, you can cross one of those questions off your list, which gives you time to answer more things like,
are we there yet?
Interstate Batteries, delivering the most trustworthy source of power to the world since 1952.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix.
Hour number 2 of the program. The lunch break, KDUS AM 1060. Chris Schubert here with you. Would love for you to join the conversation. You can do so, 480-864-1060. You can also join us on the YouTube side of things. We've had some Bears fans join the chat, and they think that the Bears are going to lose on Sunday. So you can join us on the YouTube side of things. You can banter with Bears fans. You can start the trash talk a little early ahead of Sunday's game. So you can do that over on the YouTube side of things, and we appreciate everybody who's consuming us over there as well. And if you're listening to us in the radio or on the radio, we appreciate that. If you're listening to us on the web player, the app, we greatly do appreciate it. But in all honesty, do us all a favor here on the show, because the easiest way for you to stay locked in and tuned into everything that we've got going on here on the show, on the station, just download the KDUS 1060 app. You can take the station with you wherever you go. You can take the show with you everywhere you go. We're going to have the video up there pretty soon, so you'll be able to watch the video live there in the app. You're going to see all of the videos from the shows, the podcast. Everything is going to be in one place for you here pretty soon. So why don't you get ahead of things? Why don't you get ahead of the curve and you download the app today and join us there? And pretty soon, and I can tease this because I know it works, and I've done a couple of teases this week on the show that have been immediately proven wrong, but I know this one is true. We are working on setting it up to where you will be able to, in the app. So let's say you're at work and you can't call in and wait on hold and talk to producer Dylan, but you have thoughts that you want to add into the show. There will be an option in the app here pretty soon for you to send an audio message to us that we could then play on the air. So you could get your thoughts into the show. So maybe your lunch is only from 11 to 11:30 and you want to sneak something in and we can get to it later in the show. So that feature coming soon to the app. So again, get ahead of the curve, be there, sign up for an account. It's free, doesn't cost you anything. Download the KDUS 1060 app here today, and it's wherever you get apps. So Google Play Store, Apple App Store, it is all there for you. Want to do an injury update here because we got 2 pieces of injury news in football, one for the collegiate ranks and one for the Arizona Cardinals. I'll start with the collegiate ranks because it's probably the quickest thing for us to discuss, and then we'll get into the Cardinals piece of injury news. And for those of you who are maybe just joining us, the practice window for Jonah Williams opened up today. So they opened up his 21-day practice window, so he's going to practice. That doesn't mean he's going to immediately return, but that's good news for the Arizona Cardinals. Sam Leavitt is going to return to being the starting quarterback for the Arizona State Sun Devils against their next opponent in the Big 12 this week. So they were able to, I guess, survive without him. They did not win the game that they played without him, and they have missed him quite a bit here. So it is a good thing to have him back. It is a nice thing to see that he is going to return as the starting quarterback for this team this weekend. And this team, I said it when he went out, that I thought that they could win games without him because of their running game and because of who their coach is and their coordinator, and that he would be able to scheme stuff up. It just, at the end of the day, you still need a good quarterback. You still need somebody that can operate the offense. You need to have some level of a passing game. You need to have some level of an understanding of how the scheme operates. And so Sam Leavitt being back for this team, I think we can go right back to what we saw the first, couple weeks of the season and look at this team and say a bowl's on the table, having a good season in year 2 of Kenny Dillingham's on the table. And I think when this season is all said and done, we will feel good about the trajectory for this program. It's not going to wow us with the end result, I don't think. I don't think we're talking about, 8+ wins and we're talking about a huge bowl game. But I think we are going to see the progress that this program needs. And we said how difficult the job is for Kenny Dillingham. And I think in year 2, to go from where they were in year 1 to go into a new conference, I think playing in and winning a bowl game should be seen as a huge success for this program in year 2. And I think that's absolutely on the table, especially now that Sam Leavitt is back. Okay, that is the ASU injury update. There's a Cardinals injury update. And I hate to say I told you so. You know what? I take that back. I don't. I told you so. I said this yesterday on the program. Darius Robinson was not on the field for the open portion of practice that the media was able to see. So Darius Robinson, who was activated from injured reserve, was not on the field today. Was not on the field today in the open portion of practice that was seen by the media. So might have done some stuff when the media wasn't there, but Darius Robinson not on the field in the open portion of practice to the media. This is why we've said, relax your expectations for Darius Robinson here for a little bit. It's why we've mentioned there's going to be a snap count here. This is going to be a slow burn. Darius Robinson is a rookie. He hasn't done football activity in, it was 69 days between the injury and when he was brought back to the practice field. He's had off the field stuff with some personal family issues. Just a lot going on for a young kid who, by all intents and purposes, is extremely mature. And I don't worry about him being able to handle all of this, but it is a lot. And so you can understand and you can give grace and you can be patient. And that is what it requires right now. That we need to be patient with this, because this is not going to be a scenario where he immediately gets activated and he's playing at 100%. That is not the way it works when you're a rookie. It's not the way it works when you're coming off of an injury. And it's just not the way this situation is going to play out. This is going to be a slow burn. This is going to be a situation where they are going to take it easy with Darius Robinson. We said we don't even know if he's going to play on Sunday. And I have to tell you, if he was not available in the open portion of practice, we'll see what the official injury report has for him. But that does not make me think that we're going to see him on Sunday. And if we do, it's going to be in extremely limited capacity. But that's okay. He is going to get back on the field for this team at some point this year. So just relax. I know everybody wants to see him on the field. I want to see him on the field because I think he can be a difference maker. But he's not going to be the massively impactful player that this team drafted him to be if they rush this process, if they try to do too much coming off of this injury. They've made it through the midway point of the year without him. Rushing him back to potentially put 2025 in jeopardy is not a smart organizational decision. And this organization, under Monty Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon, have done some things that we would say aren't the smartest, but they've been overall a well-run group. They understand, they can see the forest through the trees. They can understand how to balance short and long-term thinking. And so, again, I know everyone got excited that they activated him off of the IR and that he was going to be back at practice this week. But I think Everybody needs to realize this is going to be a slow process. This is not going to be a 0 to 100, rev the engine, floor it, go downhill. That's not what this is going to be. This is going to be, we're learning how to drive. We're taking the car out for a test spin. We're going to go to a nice, safe, empty parking lot where there's nobody around. We're going to go 20 to 25 miles per hour. We're going to take it nice and easy, okay? We're not doing donuts in the parking lot. That's how the Cardinals need to approach Darius Robinson and his return from this injury. Coming up next, it's no longer in vogue, but the Cardinals are one of the last franchises to do it. I'll explain next on the lunch break. KDUS AM 1060.
Have you downloaded the KDUS 1060 app yet? Download today and get all of your favorite local and national shows right on your phone. Teeth are amazing. That's why at Affordable Dentures and Implants, they believe it's time the world sees your smile. With new financing options available, you don't need to wait to get your smile back. 6 practices in the Phoenix area open to serve you. Schedule a free new smile consultation. Call 1-800-DENTURE or visit AffordableDentures.com to find a location near you. Services provided by an Arizona licensed general dentist. Affordable Dentures and Implants. Go ahead and smile.
Go ahead and smile.
Here in America, we have pretty good lives. And we owe it all to men and women in uniform who put their lives on the line every day fighting for our freedom and liberty. Unfortunately, tens of thousands of them come back wounded or disabled, and right now, they need us. Fulton Homes and 100.7 KSLX are doing something about this, and we'd like you to join us now through Veterans Day, November 11th. Come into any Fulton Homes sales office and pick up a quality, full-sized American flag kit in exchange for a donation of $10 or more. Fulton Homes will match your donation, doubling your support up to $25,000, and we will give 100% of it to charities helping our wounded warriors. So before firing up the barbecue, support those American heroes who so desperately need it by picking up your flag and flying your colors. We'll be flying ours right alongside you. Fulton Homes, you're proud to own. We're proud to stand with the USA.
Primavera Online prepares high school students for a bright future with the Strong Mind Merit and Performance Award, which helps with college, trade school, certifications, and the military. Enroll in grades K to 12 at chooseprimavera.com.
Don't let prostate cancer sideline you. Early detection can save lives. Talk to Arizona urology specialists about getting screened. Arizona Urology Specialists, personal care for life's most personal issues. Visit ArizonaURO.com or call 602-887-2160.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. Football is a game that naturally favors elite athletes, but not everything is about physical ability in the NFL. Tom Brady didn't exactly put on a show at the Combine. He goes on to win 7 Super Bowls. Jerry Rice, Cooper Kupp, similarly unimpressive at the Combine. Rice is the greatest receiver of all time, and Cooper Kupp just the 4th receiver ever to win a Triple Crown. That was in 2021. There's more to the game than what you see at the Combine, and the Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson is the latest example. Just in the opposite direction, though. He wowed teams with physical traits coming out of Florida, but that athleticism hasn't translated to stardom. Richardson has completed just 44% of his passes, and he's now being replaced by 39-year-old Joe Flacco. That's not to say Richardson's career in Indy is over, but with the draft season quickly approaching, just remember, elite combine numbers are just a check in a box, not an indication of future success. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. With Cybersecurity Awareness Month coming to a close, LifeLock wants to remind you to update your software. Software updates are used to patch up security issues and bugs that identity thieves can exploit to gain access to personal information. Regularly updating your software is just one more easy step to help protect your personal information. But for comprehensive identity theft protection, LifeLock can give you real peace of mind. Only LifeLock alerts you to more uses of your personal information and fixes identity theft issues. Guaranteed. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points per second and detects and alerts you to a wide range of threats, well beyond what you will see on your own. If your identity is stolen, your dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. Guaranteed your money back. Plus, you're backed by the LifeLock $1 Million Protection Package with up to $3 million in coverage. You can get a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com, promo code Patrick. That's LifeLock.com, promo code Patrick. Terms apply.
Football fans, it's Mellow Monday, so join the Rooster at Mellow Mushroom off the I-17 and Happy Valley Road between 5 and 6 p.m. every Monday night during football season. Welcome back to Lunch Break. KDUS AM 1060. Chris Schubert here with you. Got you until 1 o'clock. Till the top of the hour. 480-864-1060. That's how you can get involved in the lunch break. You can also get involved via the YouTube stream. Again, I told you some Bears fans in there talking about how they don't think their team's going to win on Sunday. So you can join us over there as well. We've got the studio shot. We've got all sorts of cool things that you can watch this show on YouTube. So just search KDUS AM 1060 on YouTube and you will see all of the content that we have over there. We touched on this yesterday as part of the leftovers. And I want to get back to it here today because I want to tie it into the Arizona Cardinals. And I want to give them some credit. And mainly I want to give credit to Michael Bidwell overall in this. And you'll understand why some of you might have just hit the brakes on your car when I said that I want to give credit to the Cardinals owner. We'll get to why I want to give credit in a second. The Colts benched Anthony Richardson, and they are going back to Joe Flacco. And they were asked today, Shane Steichen was asked today if they would like, if the plan is for Anthony Richardson to start again for the Indianapolis Colts. And Shane Steichen, and I'll paraphrasing here, but said something along the lines of that would be lovely to see. We would love to see that. It's kind of a lukewarm feel to it. That didn't sound like somebody who had the utmost confidence in Anthony Richardson being able to start again for the Indianapolis Colts, but that's what he said. And we are starting to see more often and more often that teams, for whatever reason, aren't sticking with quarterbacks. They're not sticking with these young quarterbacks that need time to develop. Now, the Panthers benched Bryce Young, although he is back to being the starter this week. It was announced today that even though Andy Dalton was a full participant in practice, they're going back to Bryce Young, but that's been up and down, had a really bad first year, started year two, got benched almost immediately, only got thrusted back in because of injury. They're sticking with him, at least for the time being. We'll see how that plays out. Anthony Richardson being benched, so you have two of the top picks from the most recent draft being benched, or one of the more recent drafts being benched. And so you have that part of it. You have scouts and agents. I saw this tweet the other day. I forget who it was from. I would love to give them credit, but I saw a tweet that was saying that scouts and agents are telling college quarterbacks to stay in school unless they've started at least 2 seasons, because at the NFL level, there is no longer time to develop players. There is no longer time for growing pains. There's no opportunity to have a year or year or two where you're learning on the job. And when the Colts drafted Anthony Richardson, that's what they signed up for. He was a kid that hadn't started a lot in college. And so you were bringing him in, and you had to know he was going to need time. They're not giving him that time. And so how do I compare this back to the Arizona Cardinals? They're the one team, and you would think that the Cardinals as a franchise wouldn't do this, that they would be like the Panthers, that they would be like the Colts, that they, because at times they've been a poorly run group, they would be the organization that gives up on a quarterback early on. That if they don't see the development, the progression, the success, the results, that they would try to find the exit ramp. Because Kyler Murray, he's been here for so long. I don't know how many people remember this. He only started 1 full season at Oklahoma. His freshman year at Texas A&M didn't play a whole lot, transferred to Oklahoma. Does everybody remember the days where when you transferred, you had to sit out for a full year? Because that's what Kyler Murray had to do. He sat out a year in Oklahoma, then played in 7 games his second year technically there. And then his last year when he won the Heisman, played in 14 games. So had 1 year of being a starter, was made the #1 overall pick. And while he was more successful than Bryce Young and Anthony Richardson were, still not reaching all of that success. And I think Kyler might be an example of a quarterback that was given up on by other franchises. And I think a lot of us are probably surprised that he's lasted this long. Think of all the things that have happened in the Kyler Murray era. The coaching changes, the coordinator changes, the GM changes, injuries, the way his contract is structured, him underperforming. I mean, they've made a coaching change when they got him. They made a coaching change now to Jonathan Gannon. They made an organizational change to change the general manager, and the general manager still wanted Kyler Murray to be his quarterback. He's been hurt and has missed a lot of time, right? That ACL injury that he had forced him to miss some time. He's underperformed. We're still waiting for him to really reach his ceiling. We see it in flashes. You just want to see it consistently put together. It is almost a surprise that in today's NFL, Kyler Murray has gotten the runway that he has gotten to be the Cardinals quarterback. But I think it is a good thing that he was given that runway because they've put him with a coaching staff that I think is better for him than the coaching staff that was put in place when he first was drafted. The organization structure is better than it was when he was first drafted. He is being supported. Talent is being acquired to help him succeed in a way that it wasn't under the last coach and under the last GM. You underwent a GM change, and the GM said, nope, we're going to see this through with Kyler. We're going to see what happens here. Now, there's a lot of time between now and the end of the season, and things could change. But I don't think we are moving down the highway towards a conversation of replacing Kyler. We'll see what the remainder of the season and the last 9 games gives us. But I don't think that conversation is currently on the table for the 2025 offseason. And so this is not what franchises do in today's NFL, but the Cardinals did it. The Cardinals gave a young quarterback the space, the opportunity, the runway to grow and develop. And right now, where has that growth and development got them? They're in first place in the NFC West. He's played well the last couple of weeks. He's starting to get comfortable with Marvin Harrison Jr., with Trey McBride, how to get both of those guys involved. And so I said in the tease that it's no longer in vogue. It's no longer the popular thing to do. It's much easier to just very quickly decide this isn't our guy. We're going to throw him to the Wolves. The Bears traded Justin Fields. Now they got Caleb Williams, so they feel great about it, but they moved on. The 49ers drafted Trey Lance and very quickly found the exit ramp. Now, not all of these were bad decisions. Not all of these were the wrong thing for the organization to do. But the point I'm making is you don't see teams because of coaching pressure, because of GM pressure, because of organizational pressure. If you can't figure it out with a quarterback, you get moved on from because jobs are on the line. And what I find so fascinating is Monty Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon got here. They didn't draft Kyler Murray. He was not their guy. He was not their quarterback, meaning they did not take him. They did not sit in a war room breaking down tape and make the decision, that's our quarterback, that's who we want to build around. Yet they have given him the opportunity. They have given him the runway to be their quarterback because they see stuff on tape and they believe in him. Most organizations, when they make a seismic shift like that, when they change GM and change coach, they would find the exit ramp. They would find a way to get their guy in there. This organization didn't. And I think that comes from all the way up top. I think when Monty Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon were interviewed and hired and the conversations that they had as a franchise, when Michael Bidwell had those conversations with these guys, that it was brought up, what are we going to do with Kyler? And I think collectively, all 3 of those gentlemen came to the conclusion that they wanted to give Kyler an opportunity in this offense. The easier option for Monty Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon would have been to get their own guy in here. The option that you see other organizations around the league do would be to have moved on. But they didn't. And through the first 8 games of the season, we're seeing Kyler start to put it all together. Now, will he reach the ceiling of being the number 1 overall pick, and will it be consistent enough? Time will tell, and, time has gone on for a while here, and at some point you are what you are. But I think the Cardinals can win a lot of football games with Kyler Murray. I think Kyler 2.0 that we've seen since the coaching change, since the GM change, has been a Kyler that the Cardinals can win meaningful football games with. And I think other franchises, if the context was still the same with the owners that they have, would have made a different decision. There would be different changes that would have been made. And so I want to give credit to this Cardinals organization because I see what the Colts are doing with Anthony Richardson, and I'm seeing what the Panthers did with Bryce Young. And that conversation never came up here. We're in year 7, year 6, year 7, year 8 of Kyler Murray. It's been a long time. And we've had the discourse, we've had the conversation of maybe during the offseason, is it time to make a change? But never have the Cardinals done what the Colts did, what the Panthers did, what the 49ers did. They never got there with Kyler Murray. They gave a young quarterback the space and time. To some people, maybe in this market, too much time. But he was given the space and time to develop and grow and find himself as a quarterback in the National Football League. And I think we are turning that corner. And so that was my takeaway when I saw what the Colts did yesterday with Anthony Richardson and going back to Joe Flacco. And I had some time to think on it and sleep on it. And then I saw Shane Steichen's comments this morning, and just not something the Cardinals did with Kyler Murray when they had multiple avenues and pathways to do it. They just never took that approach. They never found that exit ramp. And right now we're talking about a first-place team in large part because of the way Kyler has been able to play this season. Speaking of Kyler Murray, there is one stat that shows why things have been inconsistent this season. Is this the answer to second-half success for the Cardinals? We'll get into it next here on the lunch break. KDUS AM 1060.
I'll turn those picks into gold.
Wall-to-wall NFL coverage and the biggest stories coming to you from 3 to 5 p.m. The Rich Eisen Show here on KDUS AM 1060 and KDUS1060.com.
Breaking news, and this one is almost unbelievable.
Yeah, it's all about new customers at Bet365 because they get $200 in bonus bets when they bet $5. And even better, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, and player props.
There you have it. Bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bet. And see why. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Arizona. Terms and conditions apply.
A family called us recently after being told they had no case.
But we found evidence many others had missed and helped them win the largest car crash verdict in Arizona that year. Hiring the wrong lawyer can cost you everything.
Call the husband and wife law team first.
Hey, diamond lovers. Shane Company knows fine jewelry. That means a lot when you're looking for a dream engagement ring, a beautiful keepsake, or the perfect gift. When it's this important, you want someone who knows exactly how to work with your budget, not against it. Someone who knows you deserve a piece more beautiful than you've ever imagined. Through 4 generations as a family business, we've always sourced our diamonds and gemstones directly, cut out the middleman, and passed the savings on to you. Come see us in store and compare our wide selection of diamonds, rubies, and a rainbow of sapphires in different shapes and sizes. So many in stock and ready to take home today. Create your dream engagement ring in 3 easy steps, or pick a perfectly preset ring that's created by our in-house design team. Browse our selection of fine jewelry gifts for everyone in your life, from diamond and gemstone studs to must-have tennis bracelets and beautiful birthstone necklaces. With our everyday competitive prices and unmatched free lifetime warranty, Shane Company is your go-to destination for fine jewelry. Visit shaneco.com and come in to see for yourself. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Every day, safe, prepared, informed. Every day, safety is our top priority. At APS, we consistently make updates to our electrical system to keep our crews and customers safe around electricity. Remember these tips. Put safety covers on wall outlets. Call 811 before you dig to have the location of underground wires marked. And stay at least 100 feet away from downed power lines. For more ways to stay safe around electricity, visit aps.com/brighter.
Hi, I'm attorney Kevin Rowe. Recently, Lerner & Rowe was named the 2nd most influential law firm in the United States. Although we have offices in other parts of the country, Glenn and I both live here and raise our families here. We are your local law firm. No other law firm in the state comes close to the experience, reputation, and results as Lerner and Rowe. When you're hurt in a wreck and need a check, call the law firm that can get you the results you need. Call Lerner and Rowe.
Lerner and Rowe is the way to go. Call 977-1900.
This fall, choose Primavera Online, and you'll be choosing a school with flexibility, personalized support, and an award-winning curriculum that's over 20 years strong. Now enrolling grades K to 12 at chooseprimavera.com.
Check out the Doug Gottlieb Show, Monday through Friday, 1 to 3 p.m., right here on KDUS AM 1060.
Welcome back to the program, The Lunch Break, KDUS AM 1060. With you until 1 o'clock today. And we just spent some time talking about Kyler Murray and how the Cardinals gave him the runway to develop and grow. And they didn't do what the Colts did to Anthony Richardson or what the Panthers are doing to Bryce Young. They didn't do that. They allowed him the time and space and opportunity to go out there and play on Sunday to continue to get better. And it has put them in a position right now, while their record is only 4-4 and they're an inconsistent bunch, that they're in first place in the NFC West. And I think we mentioned this story yesterday, but I'm going to bring it up here again today because there's an important stat in here, because I think everybody is searching for something, a stat, a reason, one thing that you can tangibly hold on to as to why this team is inconsistent, or why this team can look so good for 2 weeks against the Chargers and the Dolphins, but then look as bad as they've had against the Commanders, against the Lions, just the second half against the Bills. Like, how can that happen? And ESPN wrote a story yesterday. Ben Solak, who we mentioned on the show, former colleague of mine, does fantastic work, had talked about confusing teams in the NFL and talked about the Arizona Cardinals being one of those confusing teams. And he had a statistic in there about Kyler Murray that I think answers this for us. I think this statistic gives us, we talked about blueprints earlier this week as to how this team can find success in the second half and have Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr. be 1 and 2 in some order in targets on your team, and you'll win. They're 4-0 when they do that. They're 0-4 when they don't. I think I found an even better statistic to show you why this team has been so inconsistent. Kyler Murray is first in the league in EPA per dropback when pressured. So I don't want to go into a whole big explanation for everybody about what EPA is if you don't know what it is. But just know it's an advanced statistic that discusses your efficiency per play. And so what this tells us is that when there's pressure and the pressure gets to Kyler Murray, he is the best quarterback. He is the most efficient quarterback under that context. And it's got a lot to do with the magic tricks that Kyler's able to do in the pocket, the escapability, the extending of plays, turning sacks into 15-yard gains, escaping pressure and running for touchdowns, just his ability to work outside of structure. When the play breaks down, Kyler Murray thrives. When he is a chaos merchant, meaning that in those moments, he is the best. He is first in the league in EPA per dropback when pressured. When he's unpressured, when things are just calm, the pressure's holding up, you have enough time, you could make lunch, you could have a phone call with mom or dad or your sister, you could just relax, just calm, cool. It's easy. When you have to play in structure, when things are calm and you just have to read the defense and read the play, and he's 23rd in EPA per dropback. So the best when things are chaotic, one of the worst when things are calm. Can't you see why the offense is inconsistent? Because in an ideal world, let's just talk this out. In an ideal world, you don't get pressured as a quarterback. Your offensive line holds up. The protection holds, and you're able to read the defense. So in an ideal scenario, the Cardinals want Kyler Murray to be unpressured. But when he is unpressured, he is not as efficient. And so what that tells me is Kyler Murray right now, inside of structure, where most plays are going to take place in the National Football League, is inside of structure. He is struggling. He's great when stuff breaks down. He's great when stuff gets chaotic because he has that natural instinct about him that it's just feel, he reacts, boom, we're getting out here, we're doing this. He doesn't think. When he's unpressured and he has to think and he has to process and he has to go through all of his reads, it seems like he's struggling a little bit. So if you want to find an addendum to the blueprint that we put together when it comes to Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr. being the top two options of this offense. Again, this team is 4-0 this year when those two guys, when you look at the box score at the end of the game, they're number 1 and number 2 in targets. This team has to find a way to get both of those guys involved and have them be consistent throughout 4 quarters. But when they do that, they have not lost this season. We're going to make an addendum to that blueprint. We're going to add to that blueprint, and we're going to say, find ways to get Kyler Murray comfortable in structure. Because I love a quarterback that can do all of the crazy things, can do the Patrick Mahomes type things, the Lamar Jackson type things, where you are able to just, you see the play and the pocket collapses and you just know it's a sack. And all of a sudden, that quarterback has escaped and is off to the races and is looking downfield and is hitting a big play. I love those. Those are momentum-changing plays. Those are back-breaking plays for a defense. Those are moments and plays in a game that if you have those, you're going to be successful. When you have a quarterback that can make those plays, that is special. That is a good thing to have. But you also have to be able to operate inside of structure. You also have to be able to take a snap, not have pressure, read your offense, and make a good throw, make a good decision. Keep your team ahead of schedule. Because more often than not, throughout the course of an entire game, more of your plays are going to happen in structure where you just have to read the defense, where you just have to see what the defense is giving you. I want those chaotic plays. I don't want to play 4 quarters of chaos. Make sense? I don't need 4 quarters of chaos. I need to excel in structure, and when the chaos happens, I need to have somebody that I believe in. We have somebody that we can believe in. I know when the play breaks down, I'm a little shocked when Kyler doesn't turn it into a massive play. And so they have to get better, and Drew Petzing has to get better at calling plays inside of structure where Kyler can just instant, boom, we're getting it out. And I think one of the pathways that they can do this is their time to throw needs to be extremely low. When you are a quarterback and you are getting the ball out quick, there's no time to think. It's boom, hike me the ball. I'm taking 3-5 steps and I'm out. I know where I'm going with it. Boom. Those types of throws are those in-structure throws that can make it feel like it's chaos for Kyler Murray. I don't have time to think. I have to get it and go. We have to get it and get it in the hands of Marvin Harrison Jr., get it in the hands of Trey McBride. And so there is a way to, inside of structure, create that chaos for Kyler Murray. And the way you do that is you can't have a lot of long developing stuff. You can't have that be the backbone of your offense. So we talked about the blueprint earlier in the week. We're adding to the blueprint here because you are not going to be able to sustain. And it's a roller coaster ride, right? In chaos, we're great. In not chaos, we're bad. In chaos, we're great. In not chaos, we're bad. And that roller coaster ride can match up very well with the season as a whole. They're 4-4. It's been a roller coaster ride. Kyler Murray as a quarterback this year has been a roller coaster ride. We just heaped all the praise on the organization for giving him the runway to develop. And he has gotten better, in my opinion, as a quarterback. And I'm not saying this as a negative, but I'm just saying we're all looking for answers. We're all trying to put together why this team is inconsistent. I think we've got the answer. Inside of structure, this team is struggling offensively. Outside of structure, he's just making stuff happen. He's doing all those highlight reel plays that you see on social media. He is doing all of those things that make Kyler Murray special. If he can just be a little bit better, if he can just be the 16th best quarterback per dropback when unpressured, be a middle-of-the-road quarterback inside a structure, that's going to allow this offense to be more consistent. That's going to allow this offense to find more flow. So when you're watching on Sunday, I want you to think about something. I want you to watch the plays where Kyler Murray has got a clean pocket, where Kyler Murray has everything the way that it's supposed to. And don't worry about EPA. Just think to yourself, did Kyler make a good decision? Was the play a good result? Just think about this while you're watching the football game. And if the answer is yes, then great. That's the path that this team needs to take. But then also watch those chaotic plays. And you'll be able to kind of compare and be like, okay, he's not doing great when it's an easy drop back and there's no pressure and he just has to find his guy. But when it's chaotic, he thrives. It's easy. It's the chaos. In chaos, you can't think. There's no time. Honestly, producer Dylan, there's no time to think right now while we're doing the radio show. You do the thinking before the show, and while you're doing the show, it all comes to you, right? I have a framework of what this topic's going to be, what this segment's going to be, and we just workshop it as it happens because we're in a chaotic environment of live radio for 2 hours. For Kyler Murray, when you're running around because the right tackle is a revolving door and you can't think about, oh, this guy's running a 5-yard in route and I got to look at the corner and see if the safety's rotating. You don't have time to think about if the safety's rotating down. There's no opportunity. It's okay. I got to go. But when you have time to think, it's like, all right, did the safety rotate? No, he stayed. There, bracket coverage over there. Okay, now I'm going to come to this read over here and see if my tight end. There's time to think. And sometimes you can overthink. Kyler Murray thrives when he doesn't overthink. So that's what this team needs to get back to. Find easy ways to get Kyler Murray involved in the offense early with quick time to throw. Don't let him have an opportunity to think. And I think this offense will start to really take off even more so than it has. We wrap up this edition of the lunch break. It is the leftovers. It is next. KDUS AM 1060.
Bringing you the latest sports topics weekly right here on KDUS AM 1060 with me, the Doug Gottlieb Show, 1 to 3 p.m.
License number 146316.
That's right. As long as it's inspected once a year, if you're fired or fails to work as intended, we are responsible. No problem at all. We'll be right out. Jeannie, I want to make a wish.
Hey, Tasha, what do you need?
I wish that... Wait, still blue?
Yes, but still can't do magic since the stupid cheating eye council took it away for not having my lamp inspected.
Aw, Jeannie.
Can't get an inspector till next month.
Next month?
How come ASAP is so fast?
Because with our annual safety and adjustment programs, our customers have scheduled inspections every year. No rush needed.
Shucks, you guys are so good at that.
And if any door doesn't work the way it's intended, we are responsible for it.
ASAP, commercialdoors.com.
Tasha.
Yes, Jeannie. What do you need?
ASAP should get certified to inspect magical lamps.
We are getting ready to crown a champion.
Championship weekend is coming back to the desert.
Let's get this party started.
4 title races in 3 days means there will be a buzz in the air all weekend long. Whether from the grandstands, the infield experience, or the hillside, this is your chance to witness history and make championship caliber memories for the whole family. NASCAR Championship Weekend at Phoenix Raceway, November 8th through the 10th. Get your tickets now at phoenixraceway.com.
We believe everyone deserves access to fresh food. That's why the Kroger Company created the Zero Hunger, Zero Waste program to share fresh food with the people in our communities. Our program and foundations have donated 3 billion meals since 2017. That's nearly 10 meals for every person in the U.S. Together, we can do more for our neighbors. Just round up your purchase at checkout. Fries, fresh for everyone.
Hey, Phoenix, Doug Gottlieb here. I'm bringing the best sports talk weekdays to you, 1 to 3 p.m., right here on KDUS AM 1060.
Wrapping up this edition of the Lunch Break, KDUS AM 1060. We have to issue a correction here to close the show, producer Dylan. Because we did Off the Fence in hour number 1, and we did a NFL trade deadline edition of Off the Fence. And it was, will these players get moved ahead of the deadline next Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, I believe is when the deadline. And one of the names that I mentioned of the 10 was Cam Robinson. What I did not see was that Cam Robinson had already been traded. He was traded last night. I did not see this in doing the research this morning, putting together the 10 names. You would think when I searched up these names that this would have come across the radar, but it did not. So I got one wrong already, and it was a freebie. I could have gotten it right, but I got it wrong because I didn't see that Cam Robinson had gone. And the place that he went to makes perfect sense. He got traded to the Minnesota Vikings, who lost Christian Darrisaw. The perfect move. So shout out to the Jags, because I went off on a rant on them saying that they should have absolutely be interested in trading Cam Robinson. And I said they probably won't do it, but they should consider it. Meanwhile, it had already happened. Sometimes stuff just, it slips by, and Cam Robinson slipped by. He stuffed my pass rush attempt. So he goes to the Minnesota Vikings. So that's one of the names that has come off the board. No other NFL trade deadline news, at least as of this point. Deontay Johnson got traded yesterday from the Panthers to the Ravens. We just mentioned the Cam Robinson news. Still waiting to see if the Cardinals will do something here ahead of the deadline. Acquiring some pass rush help would be first and foremost, in my opinion. But we shall see. They still have time, less than a week until the NFL trade deadline on Tuesday. And the Cardinals probably will try to get something done here in the next couple of days. Probably don't want to leave stuff until last minute, because even though if you traded for somebody now, they almost assuredly wouldn't be available to you on Sunday against the Bears. But the quicker you can get somebody into the building, the quicker they're available next week against the Jets. So you probably don't want to leave things until Sunday or Monday or before the deadline on Tuesday. You would want to get something done here probably by the end of the week, so you can get that person into the building, get them up to speed, and they can hit the ground running on Monday with the team, so that player can get ready for the game on Sunday against the Jets. So some level of urgency. They still have until Tuesday, but I think there's some level of urgency for the Arizona Cardinals to get something done ahead of the deadline on Tuesday. We mentioned the Open the Show World Series. Game 5 is going to be tonight. The Yankees kept everything alive, and they've kept their season alive. We started the show discussing the lovely fans that found themselves, I don't even know what, I called it grand theft on national television. I think that's the only way to describe it, is that's what they did. By trying to steal Mookie Betts' glove. I'm looking at the picture now here on thescore.com. What did he think was going to happen to him? Did he think he was going to get away with stealing somebody's glove on national television? I mean, he is the effort. It's like he's lifting weights to try to pull the glove off of Mookie Betts. What are we doing? What are we trying to accomplish here? And so much so that you got yourself ejected from Game 4. You're banned from Game 5. And in my personal opinion, you shouldn't be able to be back in Yankee Stadium. In fact, you shouldn't be back in a stadium at all. Should be banned. I like how the story on ESPN.com says, Yankees fans who interfered with Mookie Betts. That's a very nice way to describe what occurred. Like this picture that I'm looking at, I'm going to try to show it to producer Dylan here. I mean, he's ripping the glove away from Mookie Betts while the other friend is holding his, what are we doing? The Yankees refunded them the cost of the tickets? No, you go to a ballpark, you be a moron, you do something stupid on national TV, we're taking your money. He's a season ticket holder. I don't care. You cannot do that on national television. They said that they're hoping for a short-term ban. We don't want to lose the season tickets. Well, maybe if you didn't want to lose your season tickets, you shouldn't have acted like a moron on television. I very much am okay with the way Mookie Betts reacted to that and that he was angry. You cannot conduct yourself like that in a ballpark. And I am disgusted that the Yankees had to basically wait for Major League Baseball to nudge them in the direction of banning them for Game 5. Because after the game last night, there was not a statement from the Yankees It did not seem like these guys were going to be banned for Game 5. It seemed like they were going to be right back in the building tonight in Game 5, which there is a Game 5 because the Yankees won the game last night 11-4 against the Dodgers bullpen game. And it sets up for, despite it being a 3-1 series and despite it potentially being the end of the baseball season, I think it matches up pretty well for the Yankees to be able to continue this series. Garrett Cole, their ace. If you designed a scenario, think about this through the lens of the Diamondbacks. Pick the pitcher that you would want on the mound in a must-win game for the Diamondbacks facing elimination. Zach Gallen, Brennan Pfaadt, whoever that is for you. It would be Gallen for me, but some people might say Brennan Pfaadt. It would be Gallen for me. I think he's still the ace of this team. That would be what the Yankees are doing tonight. They're putting their best pitcher, the guy that they want to go down in a blaze of glory with. We're either going to win and we're going to force this series back to LA, or we're going to go out with our best pitcher on the mound. You can't really ask for much more. You can say, don't dig yourself a 3-0 hole. Don't put yourself down 3-1, but you have to put that in the past. You can't have any regrets. Regrets rob you of the present. And the present for the New York Yankees is their ace is on the mound with an opportunity to keep their season alive. And whatever you feel, having your ace on the mound in a postseason game gives you a little bit of a calm feeling. And if you're unable to get it done with Garrett Cole on the mound, then you were not destined to win. It was not in your favor to win the World Series in 2024 because the Dodgers have been the better team up until Game 4 last night where the Yankees bats finally broke out. And there's part of me that wants the baseball season to end so that the offseason can begin, right? We could start having all of the rumors, conversations. We can start hearing reports of what the Diamondbacks are going to do, what the rest of the division is going to do, and we can have that conversation here on the show. There's also part of me that doesn't want to add another day where there's no baseball. I would like the baseball to continue and this series to go back to LA. I did predict Dodgers in 6, so maybe there's some rooting interest there so that I could be right about how the series ends up. So the Yankees will try to continue their series, try to continue their season, try to keep their World Series hopes alive, and they will do so without two fans that attempted to rob Mookie Betts of his glove and a baseball on national television last night. I legitimately can't believe that they think that this is only going to be a short-term ban. And if it is, shame on the Yankees and shame on Major League Baseball. If these guys are allowed back in the ballpark next year, shame. Being a season ticket holder, having the ability to go to a baseball game, to go to a World Series game, that's a privilege. Okay? You got to conduct yourself in some fashion of decency and respect. Like, just don't be a jerk. Okay? It's pretty simple. The rules are don't be a jerk. And you can keep your season tickets. You can say a lot of mean things from the crowd, and they're not going to escort you out of the game. If you get escorted out of the game, you took it to a level of being a jerk. You don't have to do that. It appears that we're going to get the second occurrence of Bronny and LeBron on the court at the same time. And this is definitely a story that we save for the leftovers. Not a story we spend the whole show on. But it looks like they play Cleveland here coming up. And obviously there's a major connection there for LeBron, being from Akron, being drafted by the Cavs, all the stuff that he's done in Cleveland and in Ohio in general. That's going to be, I think, for LeBron and Bronny, a special moment. I don't know if the rest of the sporting world cares anymore. I don't know how many people cared in the first place. I wasn't necessarily a fan of the first time that we saw this because he's not ready to be in the NBA. It's incredibly fabricated. You're hearing that this is all done to just keep LeBron happy, and that's just absurd to me that LeBron can't be happy about playing basketball and trying to win a championship with the Lakers. Like the Lakers have to do things to keep him energized. Like, just ridiculous to me that that's even a conversation. But I will give LeBron and Bronny this. I think this one will mean more than the first time they did it when they were on the court together in LA with the Lakers, because there will be something special about being able to do that in a city, in an arena, in a town that means so much to LeBron and to Bronny. Like, it would mean a lot to them. So I can at least put my hatred for this whole thing, my disgust for this whole process, and say that part of it will be cool. Now, I'll tell you this. would be a lot better if he was in a Cavs uniform and doing it. Like, I don't care that he's doing it in Cleveland as a Laker. It is cool that he's doing it in Cleveland. It would mean a lot more if he was a Laker doing this. But it is still going to be a cool moment. To follow up a story that we talked about a couple of weeks ago here, as we do the leftovers, wrapping up, cleaning out the locker, getting rid of everything that we have still on the show. We discussed on a edition of the leftovers, I think last week, I think it was a week ago today that we had this conversation, that the Sixers were being investigated before the season even began for their statements around Joel Embiid's health or load management or whatever you want to call it. Well, yesterday, they were fined $100,000 for public statements around the health status of Joel Embiid. The NBA's investigation, this according to ESPN, showed that the Sixers did not violate player participation policy with Embiid's missed games, but did so with the public comments that did not properly reflect his health issues with his knee. What are we doing here? Like, what are we doing? We've got to find a better way to do this. The league said that the comments that were made by Daryl Morey and Nick Nurse were, quote, inconsistent with Joel Embiid's health status and in violation of NBA rules. I understand what the NBA is trying to do. I understand the NBA wants to guard against load management going to an extreme where these star players are not on the court for people who pay their hard-earned money to see these players. I get it. I understand the premise behind these rules. I think they are a good faith effort. I think the idea is in good faith. Do you think the 76ers are now all of a sudden dissuaded from doing what they're doing because you find them $100,000? Do you think anything is going to change? Absolutely not. These teams are still going to conduct themselves exactly the way they're going to conduct themselves. Do you think the 76ers are now going to change the way that they speak? What are they worried about? Getting another $100,000 fine? Like, I don't know the way to do this. I don't know the right way to do this. I don't think there's a way to completely clean all of this stuff up to where these players are playing a majority of the games. They try to do it with the rules where if you wanted to win a certain award, right for the awards, you had to play in a certain number of games, and it cost Joel Embiid last year the ability to do that. That's at least something that is tangible. Those awards are tied to incentives and for contracts, and so it puts the onus on the player. Like, hey, man, you want to be an MVP? You want to win these awards? You want to meet those incentives in your contract? Don't play this load management game. Don't try to skirt the rules here. So I like that. I thought it was a good faith effort. But at the same time, when people have legitimate injuries and they come back and they play in, 59 games and they're now not eligible for awards, that feels a little unfair to those players who legitimately miss time with an injury. There has to be a better way to do this. And I don't know what it is. I don't claim to know what it is. I appreciate the NBA's attempt here, but I just don't think what they did here to the 76ers really matters. I don't think it's going to change the way any of these teams. I don't think there are other teams that saw what happened to the 76ers and they're now all of a sudden going to be careful with their words. If you make a mistake and you get fined, if you're going to get fined $100,000 as an organization, I think you're just going to take that on the chin and just move on. I just don't think there's going to be a movement here to change how we operate. That's it. We've cleaned out the locker. Another edition of the lunch break in the books. We appreciate you joining us. If you missed anything, you can catch it in the podcast feed. You can catch the replay of the YouTube live stream. It's available on YouTube. We also will chop up the show into different digestible chunks. So check that out on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube page. But the podcast feed where you can catch the show as well. That's going to do it for us here. We'll catch you all tomorrow. The lunch break, KDUS AM 1060.
AM 1060 KDUS.